Good morning, everybody. I
Good
hope
morning.
you're all doing well. May was Skin Cancer Awareness Month, and today we're here to talk a little bit more about skin cancer.
A lot of people are concerned about finding melanoma, and it is a hot topic. It should be on everybody's agenda to do a skin self-screen, learn what they're looking for, learn their own bodies, learn how to do the self-screen at home. Find something early, spot the spot, which is the Australian public health message. It's been out there for a good 40 years, but every once in a while, someone needs to have a skin cancer screen. So how do you get a screen and why do you need a screen? And what is the definition of screening in testing in medicine in general? Well, a screen is basically when you don't think that anything is wrong and you just want to check to be preemptively ahead of the curve and find something that you don't really think is there.
Let's take melanoma, for example. So we know all in the incidence of melanoma is about 1%. So in every 100 people, that's one person that's going to get the melanoma. And, if you can say there's a great thing about melanoma, the great thing about it is on the surface of our skin for us to see. Unlike most type of cancers that start deep on the inside and they're really difficult to catch early, with the melanoma, we do have an opportunity for early detection. And that's really what the skin screening is all about. There's different ways that you can do this screening. So the simplest and probably the best for the vast majority of the population is just really getting to know your own skin. And what we mean by that is have a very careful look. And we want you to do this on a regular basis. So what's recommended is once a month, have a really good look at your skin. And what we mean by have a really good look is in a really organized fashion, start taking a look at your skin from the top to the bottom. So face, neck, chest, torso. Check your genital areas. There are some areas that are hard to see, but you can do it with the help of a mirror. The fronts of your legs, your feet, the soles of your feet, and then you repeat on the whole back side. So again, starting from the top, working all your way down. There's some areas that are hidden. We covered some of this in our previous video. That includes the scalp, the groin, and the soles of the feet. And these are areas that we just really don't see or we don't notice very often. But we encourage everybody, if you have a partner, if you have a good friend, do take a look on a monthly basis.
I also find that there are certain areas that are hard to find. So scalp. Whenever you're in for your haircut, whenever you're in getting your hair colored, just ask your hairstylist or your colorist to take a look and say, hey, do you see anything that's funky, that's funny, that you're not aware of or we're aware of? And that's a good way to check. For men in particular, the area behind the ear is also a hidden area and is very important. So if you think about a 5-year-old boy, a 15-year-old boy, or I'm just saying, short haircuts, ball caps from say 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago, where people were playing or doing work outside and that sun was hitting the back part of the ear and the ear was out. It wasn't covered by a wide brimmed hat. It wasn't covered by long fluffy hair in some circumstances. The ear can be very, very sneaky and it's important. And the hairstylist and the barber is a good person to ask and elicit help, as well as friends and family.
So now let's talk about, we're doing these self-skin exams and you're getting comfortable. And if you do want more detailed information, there's plenty of information online. But let's go to the next question, which is who needs a professional skincare exam? Namely, who is it that really needs the help of a dermatologist? So the way we think about this is we stratify according to risk. So there's low risk individuals, there's intermediate risk, and then we have high risk individuals. So the low risk category, fortunately, are most people. So you may have a few moles here or there. They all look very normal. They haven't been changing. You've been looking at them. They're really same day over day, month over month, year over year. There's nobody in your family with melanoma. Fantastic. So fortunately, you are in a low risk category, and somebody that's got a lot of just nevi that are few in number and look very normal, you don't really necessarily need a professional or a dermatologist to examine your skin.
The other questions that often come up in a skin check are, have you ever had a severe burn? So severe burns or more than one under the age of 10 can put you from a low risk to maybe a medium risk category. The color and the type of tan or burn quality and tendency also can put you into from a low to a medium risk category. So the question comes up, do you burn easy? Do you burn and then tan? Do you tan easy? And that sometimes goes with skin pigmentation. So obviously some redheads are always burning, and they freckle easy. Some mid-tone skin individuals might have mixed gene situations where they actually can burn a little bit, but tan very, very well. And so their memory is that they tan well, but they can burn easily. And that can be a mid-moderate risk factor as well. Then there are some individuals that can have very dark skin. However, they have mixed genes. And so it gets complicated, but most people in that category are moderate risk.
So then we have the other extreme, which would be the high-risk individual. So in our minds, those are people, for example, that have many nevi, and we're talking, 50, 100 nevi all over their body. Some of their moles may look quite unusual. They may be very dark and deep in their pigmentation. They may have unusual shapes. We do encourage individuals like that to start with a full exam with their family doctor. Family physicians, they're obviously highly trained, and they will give you good sense. No, you're good. These are low risk. You know what? There's some things here that I'm concerned about. So if your family doctor is concerned, then certainly a referral at that point is warranted. And then we would have another look here in the office. And again, go through that process. Are we worried about any of these lesions? Do any of them require a biopsy? Do they need follow-up? Are you an individual that we deem to be high risk that requires regular monitoring, let's say once a year for a skin check?
So again, most people don't need a once a year skin check. And if we compare, say, a check of scanning, screening for colon cancer, which is for the general population after 50 every 5 years, or for extremely low risk individuals after 50 every 10 years. If you go for your colonoscopy and you do have some polyps, then it might be recommended that you go every 3 years. So it really is sort of a moving needle in that respect. And some people can feel better and better about their skin self-checks at home to make them feel more comfortable.
Part of it in your confidence in examining yourself is really knowing what to look for. First and foremost, I think the one feature that kind of trumps everything else is there a change? So is it something new, a new lesion that you knew wasn't there, let's say a month ago? And also, do you see something that's changing? And if you see a change, for sure, your first step is to see your family doctor. If there's a change there that your family doctor is concerned about, then it is an urgent referral, because that's our opportunity to catch things early. Beyond that, let's say, you're just examining your skin for the first time. You don't know what's new, what's changing. So what are the things we look for? We call it the ABCDs.
Yeah. So A is a big one for me. Asymmetry could categorize asymmetry of shape, asymmetry of color, asymmetry of the rise and fall of the mole. So asymmetry means if you bisect the lesion into two on the short axis, on the long axis, do the two halves look the same? Are they mirror images of each other? And often in melanoma, I will describe a funky lesion as looking like the coast of Nova Scotia. Maybe it started looking like an oval, but at some point in time there was an asymmetrical extension on one side, and that could be just the border shape, or it could include a color change as well. So asymmetry is a big one for me that I often educate my patients in to look for.
Yeah. So, and then B stands for borders. So with normal nevi, so benign nevi, we're looking for smooth and rounded borders. So usually there's no jagged edges, just looks like a little circle or a little oval.
Border's a tough one, I find, because some of the freckles that come up here on the back of shoulders after the sunburn and lots of chronic sun, the little lentigines and freckles that pop up often look like little snowflakes. So
they do. And you bring up a bit interesting point, which is how do we distinguish between a mole or a nevus versus other areas of pigment on our skin? So lentigines, ephelides. So ephelides is the medical term for freckle. How do we distinguish between the two of them?
So it does get a little hard, but if you read your skin, you learn your skin, you know your skin, then that is part of the learning curve. It's like
And
learning a new language, really.
exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where the repetition becomes really important. So you repeat your skin exam, you keep looking once a month. And the first few times you do it, it's really difficult because you might be looking at all of these lentigines that are benign and you're like, oh, how do I know if it's a mole or not? How do I know if it's changing? But certainly if you continue to look month after month, you will develop that visual memory. You're going to learn what's normal for you. And that's the way you can detect the change. And photographs can also be very helpful in this instance. They don't need to be super fancy photographs, just under good lighting conditions that you can see the skin. And that way, if you're unsure, you can always refer back to an old photograph and see if there's a change. Okay, so we covered bordered. So B, C,
color. To your point, which is there's usually a color scheme. And I like to think of it as a Benjamin Moore swatch, which is sort of individuals will have a tightly adherent kind of tone on tone type of color underlying in their moles. So light individuals will have a lot of pinkness in their moles, or tan, yellow, light brown color, maybe getting into a little bit of a medium dark brown color. A lot of red-haired individuals will never have dark brown, whereas mid-toned pigmented individuals usually have light to mid-tone brown colors in their moles, and sometimes the moles are two-toned. Two-toned moles are quite frequent, actually. So it's good to know the symmetry and the color and the type of moles that you have as your own individual.
And the one thing regarding color, like to your point, so people just based on their natural color scheme and their chromophores will have different colored nevi. But how I advise my patients is look for the outliers. So if most of your moles, let's say, are a light brown or caramel color, and all of a sudden you notice one which is like a very deep color brown, it's an outlier and that really does need to be examined. Whereas let's say, like for myself, I've got darker skin tone. Most of my moles are dark brown anyways. So as long as the color is kind of all the same and fairly uniform across your nevi, that's a very reassuring sign.
D is for diameter.
So we're watching for growing lesions. So something maybe that starts off very tiny, but you notice a growth in the diameter. So it's spreading and getting wider. Again, anything like that does need a proper examination. Okay, so let's move on to the next question really is, so let's say you've noticed something, you're concerned, maybe a couple of weeks or a month have gone by and you're saying, yep, you know what, I'm concerned, I think this is changing, I think this is new. What do you do?
Well, most people will ask a friend or say, do you think this is concerning? Do you think this is new? Have you ever seen this? And get a confirmation and then go straight to their family doctor, or in lieu of a family doctor, a walk-in clinic, or an urgent care, and get a medical opinion. And the medical opinion then is a point of entry into the medical system here in Ontario. And then usually, in some cases, say if you're 3-4 hours from a large city, a biopsy can be done on the spot, or a referral to a dermatologist to have that second opinion, third opinion as a specialist. But we are here to, again, risk stratify and receive these referrals and read each and every line that the family doctors and the urgent care doctors are providing to us. And a changing pigmented lesion with an urgent referral is definitely a high priority, and we put it to the top of the list, and we will see patients on an urgent basis. So that is a very effective strategy, and how we are using the system in its current capacity to really help people, reassure people, and spot the spots and get them confirmed and diagnosed and possibly biopsied and treated on a timely manner.
And there's one point that I would like to add in is if you do notice a change on your skin, we do urge you to act. So we don't want you to procrastinate. We don't want you waiting months and months and months, because things can evolve over time. Definitely act, but you don't necessarily need to panic. So just to say that there are some lesions that do grow on our skin that are like melanoma mimickers. So lesions like seborrheic keratoses, for example. These are very common on our skin, particularly as we get older. They can be genetically inherited, and they do grow quite quickly. Again, We want you to act, but not everything that is changing is necessarily a melanoma. But again, the first step is to check in with your primary care provider. So we hope that these videos are helpful for you. We hope it helps you learn. We hope that it helps you feel a little bit more comforted in knowing how to approach this very difficult topic. And we are here, so please, questions, everything in the chat. This is definitely a way, feedback. This is a way that certainly we can reach everybody, and we want to help and hope our expertise can help our entire community.
Some questions that are a little bit more medical related cannot really effectively be answered through social media or by email, of course, because there are limitations to that.
There are limitations, but certainly we can help guide.
Yes. Thank you for supporting us for all of these years, our patients, our audience, and thank you for watching the videos. And we love the comments and questions down below.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.